Welcome to Truth by Billie Beene. Today's date, May 31, 2025, time in Texas, about 5 p.m. Thanks for like, subscribe, and share, and for hitting the like button. That helps my channel to grow. And I'd like to say thank you to Jonelle Enterprises for extra support for my channel. Some of the sources I'll be using today: Pastor Paul Begley's recent interview with Mike from around the world, Hal Turner, BREITBART, Space Weather on YouTube, formerly Suspicious Observers, BPEARTHWATCH, Best and Taylor. Some of the things we'll cover: Earth smacked by the sun, G4 and KP8. Apparently, it's going to be a rough ride for us from the sun for the next few days. We'll cover that. President Trump, tariffs plus, and the angel has fallen. We'll get to it. That's the name of a movie that figures in A Word from the Lord Larry Taylor received recently. So first we're going to cover what's going on with the sun. Now we know in about last May of 2024, we had a G4, G5, we had global auroras. Yesterday, we had something like an M-class 8.9 that followed in the past few days several X's. Now, yesterday, we had a CME released that's going to hit us tonight, May 31, about 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. BPEARTHWATCH brings this out today, May 31. We had a second CME fire off, and so these two are going to squarely hit the Earth, and the second one for sure, most likely the U.S. What does that mean for us? It means that radiation is going to be up, 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 and the way to minimize health impact is to stay out of the sun, stay hydrated, and cool. We'll have events going on May 31, June 1, June 2, and June 3. So let's talk about it. So June 1, a G4 with a KP index of about 8. We can expect to see auroras, possibly as down as low as Texas. And the CME that are being released are long, strong duration in their impact from the sun. And we can expect in the next few days, 90% chance of more M-class, C-class, 60% M-class, 25% X-class flares. And the G1 that's coming in today is now being increased to a 2 to 3 with KP index of 5 to 7. And that will result in this G4 KP8 lapsing into June 1. The second CME that's been released has not yet been calculated with regard to its impact. But so far, and on June 1 to June 2, the G4. So that's going on. With the second one, we're increasing then into the June 3, and it's unknown. We do know this afternoon that the solar winds are going to hit the Earth at an unprecedented strength and speed of 2 million miles per hour. We can expect, certainly over the U.S., impact to radio operators, regular radio, and other satellites and other communication devices. So BP Earthwatch brought this out this afternoon. This first CME we're expecting tonight at about 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The second CME released today, this afternoon, is expected to hit us about June 3. And June 1 and June 2, a G4 KP8. We're expecting the CME is likely going to also generally impact the U.S. And we do have the solar winds at 2 million miles per hour. The two CMEs were released 13 hours apart. The second CME is expected to impact us June 1 about 8 a.m. in the morning. So that's going on. And we have this. Yeah, we're having effects upon the Earth. We know we have a decreasing electromagnetic shield around the Earth. We have increased events going on the sun. Just in the past 48 hours, we had a glacier collapse in Switzerland that took out an entire small village. Now, the small village 2 weeks ago had been evacuated. We have also impacts upon the Pacific Ocean. A weaponized cold will hit some areas in the U.S. that typically would be 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Will go down to 22 degrees Fahrenheit. So we have the sun impacting us. We also have weather events going on. And it's likely with this cold to hit the U.S. in unexpected areas in the next few days, to have hail, 6 inches up to 15 inches, winds 70 to 100 miles per hour. So that's going on. And now we have this. Yes, we had the glacier melt in Blatten, Switzerland, taking out a small village. We've also seen in the past 48 hours increased earthquake activity around Japan, the Ring of Fire, the U.S. West Coast. So that's going on, and we have increased radiation from the sun, which the Earth will absorb. So we can also expect from these increased solar wind 2 million miles per hour and the two CMEs coming in, we can expect in the next 5 to 7 days to see increase in earthquakes and volcanoes and weather events. So we have that going on. Now we'll talk about some news that's going on. So we have the cartels. I understand the Mexican military is now ratcheted up their pushback against the cartels after, along the U.S.-Mexican border, some of the explosives the cartels had planted along the U.S.-Mexican border blew up and killed 8 Mexican military soldiers. So now the Mexican military is doing more pushback. So we have this news coming out about the cartels. We know that other nations are helping the cartels, including China and Iran, with weapons and military training. So that's going on. And we have this, that inside the U.S., the Mexican cartels have embedded scouts, and these include scouts from Iran and China who are helping the Mexican cartels. The cartels also have tech and can hack into U.S. systems. So we need that golden dome President Trump is talking about. The State Department has issued warnings to American citizens. Don't travel to any part of Mexico. And we have this from a source, People. President Trump has canceled a contract. And so I gave out that information recently that President Trump, Secretary of Health and Human Services, RFK Jr., had changed the CDC recommendation for shots and had dropped the recommendation for COVID-19 shots for healthy children and pregnant women. Now, President Trump is canceling a $600 million contract to Moderna to develop the bird flu shots. So that's going on. President Trump states because the bird flu shots were also going to incorporate the mRNA technology. And President Trump says there are questions about the mRNA technology. Now we have this from USA Today regarding the tariffs. President Trump, in a speech he gave to a steel facility located in Pennsylvania, May 30, he said he was increasing the tariffs on foreign steel from 25% to 50% because President Trump stated at 50% they can't get over the fence, meaning they can't be competitive in the U.S., and it benefits the U.S. steel industry and workers. Now we have this. So Mike from Around the World, in a recent interview on Pastor Paul Begley's show Thursday night, talked about 72 hours. We also had on Thursday, Friday, some information coming out from New York Prepper. So Mike from Around the World Thursday night said, and then Hal Turner came out with that same 72-hour time frame. Today is Saturday, so Saturday. So we have this going on. So 72 hours from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, is that Israel would hit Iran, and it appears that both Israel and Iran are placing their military assets in anticipation of a strike. We also have India warning it may come forth with a declaration of war against Pakistan. They're still engaged. China eyes Taiwan. Now, it's always been my thinking that when the Middle East kicked off, that China would try to take Taiwan at a time when the U.S. military and U.S. government would be eyes on or concentrating on Israel and Iran. But we also have a massive buildup in Russia and to go against Ukraine. So yeah, the next 72 hours, we have this massive impact coming in from the sun. And it also appears that many nations are also gearing up to go to a next level in their war activities. And we have this. Russia is building up for a massive, it's believed, attack on Ukraine. And they have moved 40 Tu-22M planes to the Olanya base plus 20% of all of Russia's Tu-95 MS planes, plus they're using heavy transport planes, Russia, the IL-76, and moving stuff to Ingalls base. 8 of the transport planes have made movements in the past 4 days. This level of activity has not been seen in 3 years, nor has it been seen during the course of the Ukraine-Russia conflict. Now we have Alex Christoforou, a European journalist, talking about Ukraine has evacuated 11 villages near Sumy. So we have this going on. So we have Russia, we have Belarus, we have Russia gearing up with their planes. In Ukraine, we have Kiev, their capital, on area Sumy. S-U-M-Y is near Kiev. This is believed Russia will now make moves to take Sumy, Kharkiv, and Odessa. And we have this. Ukraine has evacuated 11 villages near Sumy. And the Ukraine military is now establishing a front line near Sumy. And this is right next to Kiev. Ukraine is also putting a second front line. So we've got Luhansk, Donetsk, Zaporizhzhia, and Kherson. Ukraine is also putting a second front line near Zaporizhzhia. And it appears that Ukraine expects a Russian advance in the Sumy and Zaporizhzhia area. It's believed that Russia will come in near Zaporizhzhia to make a strike on Odessa, and will come into the Kharkiv and Sumy area, possibly moving troops from Belarus. So that's going on. Now, just in this past week, Russia has a Russian enclave, Kaliningrad. It's about in the area of Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland. And in this area, between Lithuania and Poland, you have this area called the Suwalki Gap. And in the past 5 days, citizens were moving out of Kaliningrad and also the Suwalki Gap. So apparently something's anticipated in that area. And now we have this, that the UK looks to replace Zelensky, this comes from Alex Christoforou, with an individual who is the mayor, I'm assuming of Kiev right now, Klitschko, who is an ally of Zaluzhny. Zaluzhny formerly was the head of the Ukraine military. He has now been in the UK for about a year as the ambassador from Ukraine to the UK. So this Klitschko, the mayor of Kiev, is now being put forth by UK to replace Zelensky. So that's going on. I have this from a Patriot subscriber talking about Sky Master. Now, last Thursday, and that's when Mike from around the world was on Pastor Paul Begley's show and said, we can expect something big in 72 hours. Well, also about on Thursday, New York Prepper documented that we had messages going out over the U.S. Nuclear radio channel. This is a radio channel. It's military, but citizens can listen to it, over which the U.S. military gives out various codes to planes globally. And we had on Thursday something like 57 SkyMaster messages and 67 regular EAMs, emergency alert messages, go out to our planes. Now, I explained that there are levels of messages. SkyMaster is a high level of message going out over the U.S. military radio channels. I have a Patriot subscriber who retired from the U.S. Air Force. She was in for 20 years, or he was in for 20 years, and said SkyMaster, he gave some more information, refers to C-17 Globemaster operation, putting pieces in place. It also could be referencing Cessna 02 planes with SkyMaster messages, or Cessnas used by the military, and they are used to forward air control, but also for PSYOPs operations by the U.S. military. So, we got that going on. Now we have this from Danny HAIPHONG, who I believe he interviewed Larry Johnson, formerly with the CIA, saying that President Trump has given orders for the U.S. not to be involved in any effort against Iran, and the U.S. would not support Israel and Israel striking Iran, and that President Trump had given stand-down orders to U.S. troops, and the U.S. carriers are also leaving the Red Sea. President Trump pursues a peace deal between Israel and Hamas. And now we have this from Hal Turner, talking about tariffs and U.S. shipping. So U.S. shipping in April was down about 20% in terms of imports, and the tariff talks have stalled. According to President Trump's Treasury Secretary Bassett, this came out Thursday, and that there is a pause in the reciprocal tariffs for 90 days. And both the U.S. was going to lower the tariffs on China, and China lower the tariffs on the U.S., but it appears that China now is reneging. So that's going on. President Trump was going to put a pause in to benefit China, because apparently China's economy was crashing. China said okay, but now it appears China is reneging. So that's going on. And we have this. Also coming out from multiple sources, including Mike from around the world, that many music concerts include in their performances satanic ceremonies put on through music to bring the young people who are listening to the concerts under the control of evil. And Mike from around the world says the inclusion in music of the term na-na refers to a moon demon. So we're seeing, and also, and I had this, I believe this first came out from Gene Decode that many of the owners of music venues also own prisons, and that it came out decades ago that the CIA had been involved in a mind control event, putting in place rapper music, and it's to bring about a destruction in the primarily black communities in the U.S. and to induce that it's glorious to be go against the police and go to jail and prison. So we see the two owners of prisons and music venues colluding also with the CIA to bring about the destruction of the culture of the United States of America. And that in Taylor Swift's concerts, she often does ceremonies to glorify Moloch. And we're familiar, Christians are familiar with this evil demon from the Bible, Moloch. So that's going on. And that during these many music concerts, the name of Satan is flashed to at least 13 times to put forth a subliminal message to the young people. So it's good to stay away from concerts, it sounds like. Now, Mike from Around the World puts forth that in these concerts, people actually die or are overcome with anxiety and crying. Of course, since the mainstream media is owned by the deep state, we don't hear about it. And now we're hearing about this, that the Dems have an exit plan they'll put forth through the mainstream media and involve Hollywood celebrities to bring about mind control and propaganda over the American people. So that's going on. And now we have this. Germany and Norway have given to Ukraine something like, Germany gave $500 billion, Norway $360 billion, and it's believed Ukraine has a war chest of $2 trillion. Most of it, we know, coming from America. And Mike from Around the World puts this forth. Russia has an unknown doomsday-type weapon. And now we have this from Hal Turner. Russia's response. So recently we heard President Trump saying he thought President Putin had lost his mind. But Germany had also been making remarks to Russia. And so now Russia is responding to Germany, and Russia says, I only know one really bad thing, and that would be World War III. Now recently, Larry Taylor of Best and Taylor was out on a prayer walk and had a word from the Lord. And what came to Larry's mind, and I can relate to this because the Lord often gives me words from him via movies. And Larry had two movies come to mind. One is Angel Has Fallen. That's part of the Olympus is Down, London is Down, the White House is Down series. Angel Has Fallen talks about an attack on the U.S. president via drones. And also Civil War is about a civil war occurring in the U.S. with an attack on the president and the White House. So it would be good, it looks like, to be an extra prayer for President Trump. So it's generally good to pray for. America, President Trump, the U.S. military, and world peace. I love you, and I'll see you soon.